Hey, what's up, people? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Desmond Z, if this is the first time that you've ever seen me. So today we're going down memory lane, okay? We will be taking a look back. Back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I sit in the pictures as a kid again. I recently was going back and looking at some of my older videos, which is something that I don't do often. I was doing something that made me go back and look at like an older video, so I started looking at a bunch of other ones. Greatest hits is basically what this book is about, and greatest hits, I don't just mean like the highs. There's also been some lows, okay? So I feel like it'll be a great refresher for you, for me, and for the new people here. It can be kind of like a cliff notes of, some of the things that the Desmond Z community has been through since inception, okay? So let's get into it. One of the other things that I realized while watching myself back is, I think, the calmness that I had, or that I have, when I first hear about a book, and then over time, it's like as the fondness grows, as like the book settles into my soul, into my brain, and I really get to sit with it. It's like the excitement for the book grows more and more and more. About like a year later, I'm screaming in your face and telling you, it's good, it's amazing, it's really, pick it up right now. The Violin Conspiracy. The Violin Conspiracy did what needed to be done. The Violin Conspiracy did what needed to be done. You want to talk about a novel? You want to talk about a novel? You want to talk about a book? You want to talk about a story? You want to talk about a story? The Violin Conspiracy deserves. I would recommend this book to everybody. The Neighbor Favor, that's another one. I'm actually almost done with that one, and this one is, it's not letting me down so far. It is keeping my attention. I am entertained. The characters I'm enjoying. Some of it is a bit unbelievable, but it's a book. It's fiction. It's not real. It's made up. There are unbelievable things that happen in this world every day. Impossible things are happening every day. So I'm cool with The Neighbor Favor so far. A full review will be coming for that one. It did it for me. It did what it needed to do. How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water by Angie Cruz. This book, hands down, one of the best books I've read this year. How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water, deserved for the performance by the narrator in the audiobook alone. How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water. I've talked about it before. How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water was a 5-star read for me, and I will forever recommend this to any and everybody who will listen to me talk about it. I had to do it. How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water. I've talked about this book a million times. I have not shut up about it since I read it. I will not shut up about it. You cannot stop me. You just cannot. How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water. This is another book where it's like, do I need to discuss it? Do I need to talk about it? Do I need to speak upon it? Because I have talked about this book nonstop ever since I read it. I bring it up almost every other video. Crimes of Passion, I talked about this in a previous video. I thought this was hilarious from beginning to end. I gave it 5 stars. I would really love if they turned this into a full novel. Like, just keep writing. Pick the pen back up. Crimes of Passion. This is a novella about 2 podcasters who talk about true crime. I've said it before. I'll say it again. We need a full novel. Make it a full novel. And on the flip side of that, I have those books where I struggle and I'm like, oh, I'm trying to get into this. I don't know much about it. I'm trying to read it. It's not working for me. And then instead of DNFing it and just moving on with my life, because y'all know I say I am the king of DNFs. I have no problem DNFing a book. I do play a slip up sometimes too. I will force myself. I'm just like, okay, maybe it'll get better, Desmond. Maybe things will change. It'll turn around. And I force myself to finish a book. A fool is what I am for making myself finish something, and I end up hating it. Book number 1 is Memorial by Brian Washington. I really, really want to read it, but I just can't seem to get over the hump and get into it. Memorial. This is actually a book. I bought this book well over a year ago now at this point, I do believe. Me trying to read it over and over again and not being able to get past the first and second chapter last year, it tracks because I did not enjoy this book. Our Jen. I actually tried to listen. I say this so much. At this point, it's just my whole life. I tried to listen to the audio of this as well. I don't think I had any issues with the audio. I think it was just I wasn't in the mood. Sometimes I'm just not in the mood. And it didn't really work for me personally. But it started out really strong. But Rootless is... I wanted to love that book. I wanted to love Rootless. I wanted to... What is this? What is this? I wanted to love Rootless. I wanted to like Rootless. I wanted to enjoy Rootless. Rootless, Rootless, Rootless. I will always remember Rootless. It's not for the simple fact that it just was, you know, just touched me so deeply. But it's the fact that I went around and around and around and around and around. I DNF'd it several times. I came back and told y'all, oh, I really like it now. It's doing things for me. And it was so topsy-turvy. Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. I have really high hopes for this. I'm hoping it's really, really good. I don't really know how to review this book because it did not meet my expectations. I just thought this book was going to be so much more than what it was. All Good People Here. The ending alone pissed me off. Ashley Flowers, girl. All Good People Here, that pissed me off. That ending was so dumb. For some reason, I thought the villain was going to eat. I thought it was going to serve up everything I needed. A book that I expected to be just as good. I don't know, I just had a feeling. I was like, oh, this is gonna hit, this is gonna be good. I'm gonna love this. I did not. I did not. Family Game, I saw that in a bookstore recently and the cover made me interested in it. The Family Game. Now, first of all, nothing happens for the first 16 chapters. I'm gonna save you all the trouble because basically this book is about a big dummy. This book is about a big dumb idiot. It was just page after page after page of this woman being an idiot, being a dumbass. I gave JACKAL a one star. That book pissed me off. That book pissed me off so much and I was so looking forward to reading JACKAL. The next book I read was Counterfeit. I did not like this book. Counterfeit wasted my time. I just want all my time back. Abundance by Jacob Gwanzin. It just really did not do it for me. It let me down in so many ways and I think I predicted it being like a 5. I had such high hopes. Yeah, so I know better now. The American Mermaid. The book cover is the best thing about this. I should have DNF'd it. I should have DNF'd this because the end of this book, I was like, what the fuck was this? You put me through all of that. Then the end of this, what the fuck kind of ending is this? This one I know. This one I know. This is a book where I will always remember how it made me feel. I don't think I've ever had, I didn't have that. I won't even start that lie. I've definitely had stronger reactions, but I just vividly remember this one and it just, I don't know what it is. You know how you look at a cover and it's so pretty, you read the synopsis and you just feel like it's just going to be everything and it just lets you down. And just like anything, it's subjective. There could be people who absolutely adore this, but I was not one of them, and I will always, I don't know why it's on my shelf. I know some people, like, they'll say they hate a book and they get rid of it. It's no longer on their shelf. Like, sell it to somebody else could read it. I don't know why I don't get rid of books that I don't like. Maybe I will in the future, but as for now, it's still on my shelf. I paid for it. I feel like at least let me keep it and let it look pretty on my shelf. I paid for it. The Family CHAO. I recently talked about this book and how I think I said something about tossing it out the window. The Family CHAO pissed me off to no end, and
I don't know why I still have that book on my shelf. I should toss it out the window because I was going through and I was talking about all the books on my shelves that I have not read, and this came up, and it was just like, oh, I have read this, but I kind of wish I didn't because it pissed me off. And you know, it's not often that I say a book is horrible. Like, and even when I say that, I'm mostly talking about my experience. There's a receipt in this book. It ain't mine. Oh, this is my receipt. No, it's not. I don't know what's going on here. This book, it's rare. Well, I forgot. I lost my train of thought. It's rare that I'm talking about the writing because that's one thing that I really tried to hold back. Like, I don't go into like dissing someone's writing skills and say, oh, this person cannot write, should never pick up a pen. I mean, I have seen some books. I've seen some books where it's like, girl, was you paying attention to English class? Age of Vice is one of the ones that I still, like, I DNF'd it, and I tried to go back to it, and I always say I'm gonna go back and try to read it, but then my brain is like, don't do it, don't even try it, like, don't even try it. Like, I want to, like, there's something in me that that keeps pulling me back. Every time I see it, every time I try to leave, something is pulling me back. But I never go and do it. But like, I really, really wish they would have stayed with that first main character, because there's like several main characters in this, and like, obviously, like, when we skip to each section, we get a different point of view. But that first person, it wasn't. What was his name? I can't remember his name. That's not my name. They call me Stacy. Whoever the first guy was, who was the first, he was driving like the Benz, he was a driver for somebody. If we could have stayed with his point of view, that's where the book, I was really enjoying it. But I hear so many good things about this book, and I really feel like one day, one sweet day, I will go back to it. I don't know if that one sweet day will be anytime soon. Just like I said with 7 Days in June, I've been shouting from the rooftops how that book, I first listened to it on audio, and it just wasn't for me, and got the physical, I'm gonna go back to it, still ain't did it.
7 Days in June. 7 Days in June was a disappointment for me, and looking back, I feel like I was really harsh on that book. And I've decided I'm going to reread that because I listened to the audiobook the first time around, and throughout the year, since April, I've listened to other audiobooks with that same narrator, and funny enough, I don't like those books either. So I'm thinking, no disrespect to that lady, she could be a very nice lady, I don't know her, nothing personal. There's somewhat of a disconnect, and it doesn't click. So I'm thinking, and if you don't listen to audiobooks, trust me when I say the narrator matters.
One thing that will probably never change, never too much, is me buying a book, saying, oh, I'm going to read this, and 6 months later, I still haven't read it. A year later, I still haven't read it. But I am going to always tell you, I will read it soon. Because one day, one sweet day, one sweet day is going to happen.
Never heard of him, never read anything by him, but we will be seeing what he's talking about up in Just Like You.
I have not read this book. I bought this book 2 years ago now. 2 years ago. Okay, we have the farewell tour. I remember I actually bought that book last December because I did a book haul. It was Book Outlet had a book sale.
Farewell tour. This book I actually already started,
and I was like, you know what? It's only $5. Let me get it. So I bought it, and I have yet to read it.
Young Mungo. I wanted to read this. Yeah, that's on my list.
Young Mungo. I have not read this book. Every time I look at it, I say I need to read it. Apologies to Young Mungo. I have not picked you up.
American Marriage. An American Marriage. Another book that I DNF'd when I tried to listen to it on audio. I am going to try the physical. LA Weather. LA Weather. I have tried to read this book 7,500 million times, and it has not worked for me.
Oh, LA Weather. I have not read LA Weather either. And I don't believe I will, because I've tried to read that book like 17 times now.
The Travelers. This is one that I want to get to this month.
The Travelers, I will not be finishing that.
Good Eggs. Another one that I tried to listen to the audio. This one was definitely, it wasn't the audio. This definitely was a DNF. But for some reason, I wanted to come back to that. I DNF'd this.
I have not read Good Eggs. I started on it. When I say I have not read it, I haven't completed it, is what I should say.
The Heaven and Earth grocery store, I didn't have the audiobook. I just couldn't get into it. It wasn't doing it for me. It just really wasn't. So I'm gonna try the physical, and we're gonna see how that goes. We're gonna see how it goes, okay?
When I look back and I'm like, oh wow, I'll have heard about a book and will know nothing about it, and I'll just be like, oh, I have an interest in it, and then suddenly I'm in love with it.
Remarkably Bright Creatures. I have seen this book everywhere. All I know about that book is that it's about like a talking octopus, I think. That's all I know about that. I would have never guessed in a million years that a book about an octopus would have taken hold of me, would have just wrapped its arms around my soul.
Remarkably Bright Creatures. This is another book. I think I gave this book 5 stars as well. If I didn't, I feel like I'm giving it 5 stars now. I'm giving it 5 stars now.
Frederick Bachman, Anxious People. I'm excited about that to see if that is what Anxious People gives by Frederick Bachman. Yeah. Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. 5 stars. Top of the charts. Anxious People, the first book I ever read by Frederick Bachman, the man himself. This was the first book that I ever read by Frederick Bachman, and it will forever hold a place in my heart.
Anxious People. This is another one. This is another one where I have not shut up about it.
Anxious People. I already did a review on this. This is a 5-star read for me. This is at the top of the list. I did not expect the things and the emotions that I felt when I first read this book.
BEARTOWN. This was one of those ones where it was like, oh, you definitely surprised me. I did not expect you to do what you did. Like, you really shook some shit up. You did.
BEARTOWN. Now, this he had the people shook. He was rattling the table. BEARTOWN, 5 stars.
BEARTOWN, we know I've read that. We know I read that. We know I read that.
A Man Called Uva, which was published in 2012, I'm pretty sure. It took me until like, I was like 35-40% into this book. And I was like, it's cool, but I ain't seeing what everybody else was talking about. Like, they just said it was just so heartwarming and just all gushy, mushy, and just gave them all of the feels. It didn't do that for me. But then something like clicked, and like Mr. Bachman, he turned it up. He turned it up. He went a few more notches up. He went into another gear that I didn't know that he could get into. Well, I knew, but it just hadn't got there in this one. And I was all into it. A Man Called Uva, I gave it 5 stars.
A Man Called Uva. How can I do a video like this and not talk about Frederick Bachman? Y'all know the love. Y'all know the love, the adoration I have. So A Man Called Uva.
Romantic comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. I had high hopes for this book, and it did not disappoint. It did not disappoint me. Romantic comedy was like the most pleasant surprise. Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? I've seen this book so much on Instagram. Like, that's what brought me to this, by Lizzie Damilola. Is that how you pronounce it? Lizzie Damilola Blackburn. And I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I'm hoping it doesn't disappoint. I'm hoping it doesn't disappoint. I really love this book. I did not think I was gonna love it as much as I did. Yinka, where's your... My girl Yink. My girl Yink. Let me tell you about Yinka. Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? This was another 5-star read for me. Do you see it?
I reread this one earlier this year, and I talked about it back in January, and I fell in love with it even more. It's nothing to say. When I reread Yinka earlier this year, that was January when I reread Yinka, it was so I was relieved. I was relieved that I loved it even more than I did the first time around, and it wasn't just me in my head, rewriting history. I really, really did love it, and I'm so glad that the second time was even better. And I want to reread Don't Cry For Me because I know there is a sequel to this coming out, and instead of it being like the father writing letters, to the son, it will be the son's point of view and his, the story through his eyes and what he's been up to in life. So I want to reread this before the second one comes out. I'm not sure if I think it's early next year, so I have some time, even though, maybe weeks, months go by like that, because, yeah. I'm not sure if it's later this year or early next year that the sequel comes out, but either way, I know I need to get it done.
Don't Cry For Me by Daniel Black. This was also mentioned in a previous video. Like, the second half really, like, sealed the deal for me. So, I give this book, like, 4. I would say a 4 because, like, it took me a little while to get fully into it. But once I was into it, I was in it. So, I really enjoyed this.
Now, the ones that I've mentioned a million times, I love them. Like, you will never get me to stop. Like I said all the time, you'll never get me to stop talking about Razorblade Tears.
Razorblade Tears. It did not disappoint. It's action non-stop. This was another 5-star read. This did not disappoint. I don't even think I can put into words just like how much I enjoyed this. Like, I wanted ass kicking and I wanted a good story. And that's what I got. Razorblade Tears. I ranted and raved about this book. Gave it 5 stars. Razorblade Tears is one of the best books I've ever read. And I will never stop talking about Razorblade Tears. One of the best books you've ever read in your life. It's amazing.
We know I read this. We know I read this. We know it. I just want S.A. Cosby to know that he definitely changed my life with this book. Razorblade Tears, if you want something that's, fiction, but leans more towards thriller, mystery, action-packed, I mean, you can't go wrong.
That's probably one of the best things one of y'all have ever done for me is recommend me this book. I loved this book. This was a 5-star read for me. The author wrote Honor, and I love this book. I give this book 5 stars. 5 stars.
Honor was so good. Y'all need to read that. Honor. This is about Smita. She is an Indian American journalist who has returned to India.
I loved this book, and I didn't know I was gonna love it as much as I did. I gave this book 5 stars. This is a 5-star read for your boy. Take my hand. Take my hand and hold on to it. A novel, a book, a work of art. Take My Hand, a 5-star read. Take My Hand is probably one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. So sad, so sad. The way that author told that story, it was just like a sweet song, and it just like,
Take My Hand. This book is based on true events.
Ooh, because I've talked about Black Cake all this year. I read that when it's first published, and my soul. Black Cake. Why is this rated so highly? Lies. It's rated so highly because it's good. That's why. Because it was top tier. 5 out of 5. Black Cake. It is Black Cake. What Charmaine Wilkerson did with this book. What she did with this book.
Black Cake. There's not, at this point, there's nothing to say. What more? What more do you need me to say? If you're new here, just know I've talked about these a million times.
Sky Falling. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Sky Falling by Mia McKenzie. Now, this book, I actually didn't like the main character and didn't like the writing style at first. But as I kept going, I fell in love with the character. Sky Falling. I've talked about this before.
Sky Falling. Now, I know I have talked about this book quite a bit. I believe I have.
It started off really, really good. Started off really, really strong. And I was invested. Then we got about the halfway mark and I was like, okay, girl, if we keep going back, I'm like, okay, you're getting on my nerves now. Let's wrap it up, sister. Wrap it up. Wrong place, wrong time. Wrong place, wrong time. Another one. Another one that deserved wrong place, wrong time. Yeah. It just, yes. Wrong place, wrong time. Another good one.
Wrong place, wrong time. Wrong place, wrong time. I still really enjoyed this book, and over time, my fondness for the book has grown. When I look back, I don't remember, or I don't think about, you know, being exhausted with the whole time loop thing. I think about more so my enjoyment of it, the good parts of it.
The Vanishing Half by Brett Bennett. This is one of the best books I have ever read, hands down. We've talked about her so much this year. We've discussed her. We have talked about her. At this point, The Vanishing Half, it was magnificent. It was magnificent. It's 5 stars. It was definitely hands down one of the favorites of the year. If I was to make a top 10 of the year, that would be top 10.
The Vanishing Half. The measure. 521,600 minutes. How do you measure a year?
The Measure surprised me. I enjoyed The Measure.
I really enjoyed The Measure, and I said how I cannot wait till this gets adapted. I believe it has been optioned.
I wish you all the best. I love this book way more than I actually anticipated.
I really enjoyed I Wish You All the Best.
I Wish You All the Best was just so good. I've talked about that. It was so, like, it stuck with me again. I Wish You All the Best was just, it was so good.
I Wish You All the Best. I recently mentioned this in one of my go-to recommendation videos.
All the Lonely People, 5 stars.
All the Lonely People.
The author of that book, wrote All the Lonely People. And I love that book. I gave it 5 stars. You should definitely read it.
All the Lonely People. I think I spoke about this one in a recent video. That is all I have for you in this video today. I enjoyed looking back at myself, and some of the parts I did not enjoy. I was just like, oh, calm down. But what I can say is, looking at all those older clips, it's just like, I want my skin to be clear again. It used to be. And now I just struggle with hyperpigmentation and breakouts. But it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool because guess what? I'm still fine. I'm still fine as fuck, and you can't tell me no different, okay? But I hope you enjoyed this look down memory lane. I think it's important to look back, to see, you know, where you were and where you are now. Because I can definitely see the growth. Not only in myself, but in my content, and seeing how especially some of those early videos, it was just like, I didn't even recognize myself. Like, my personality was not there. It was obviously me still getting used to being on camera and talking to y'all, mostly talking to myself because wasn't nobody watching back then. It was just, I can see the growth, and, you know, me getting more comfortable and being able to just be myself and let that shine on camera or whatever. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Yeah, just give if you watch this video, if you have watched this video, give it a thumbs up. I don't care if you don't thumbs up videos, you don't comment, give this video a thumbs up. And subscribe if you are not subscribed. Share it with a friend. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.